Yukeka, yuxatini, kat yuhan.
So,
Shukwaya yakana, La.óos Tláa kakanshi, atataya, achtuwasagu, titulaati. Ya hayan wad, atwasku aya konachoy hastituye yeti. Hayukatangitin aya kes niwati. Konachoy has aushagug. Asa achtuye ke konachoy ha itas wudishi. Ya has to in aktsu. Chuoya hajitas awati wakashitsini at. Ye awa. Wan kanins we gao aya. Chuoya tashik watch has to ich. Ako awuch in chagach sati. Yaltakat uhan adusa. Wush to seichen na yaltakat ritlago konkiyan has to. Atwas kuku. Ye awa just kagach to ach aya. Hast du tu dach aya ke gachlitsino ha yukatangi. Yaltakatasa du saha inye has jiwane. Yewa gunchish ach etisa achi gunchish ilt uchtlachan ki nigi. Yewa chako wushgate aya has chagud. Ya achuni Terry Williams aya du sai. Dahunich sati. Northwest. Inside Passage Arts, Quashli do a sock owe. Aya awahun we Tlingit ka de kina ka tsutskan. Hastu ji iti achkate at hashtitil jadasa owe. Ka atlin at tsu chagut ani dach Bali. Ya hastu qadats aq when qanins you hastu a sock. Ya inupiaq kayupik we kullechwa du daye yeti dacha juya we uchtlenk an awe gat aya hasakawa ha ye awa an aya yek atwittle yech has ausaku adikadu a Ch'áagu ye awa ka shuwatin which inaya atwaswakuch Tlák haswakuch natasihini dachwash konlin ya hastu ai awa has awahun shuwatin ayat kelkadain ay yuch ewatan hechwasakun ko awegao de Tlingit dito asaku Tlingit tin yuch atki ye awa tledihin ʼaduwóosʼ wasa yeti ekechach satini wasa yeti ta kaya konne yuch ewatan Tlingit chinach ya chaltakatach da it aye hutletik a joe konach to wasaku doch et khosa achi ye awa hayan wad has du dat aye ach to wasaku du kach aye tuchtatan konach awe kadu in ag gun chish yuhan chish achi disa achi echa Tsukke khosaku shanaqait ʼaduwóosʼ jieti.
what am I asking when I say wasa shtidi nuk?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we've Tlingit, there's some different ways to ask. There's always different ways to ask like kind of a similar thing, and sometimes there's similar ways to say. There are different ways to say kind of a similar thing. So well, let's take a look. So if we look at
get the faces up to the top.
We'll go down to nuke. So a couple things with the nuke verb, and there's different ways to ask sort of how you doing. But with nuke, I kind of think of it as 3 different ones. So maybe I'll kind of look at what I got here. Hold on. Oops. Just trying to sort of think of the verb roots, and not everybody thinks about these things the same way, and we don't have to. But if we go into here, maybe I've got them. As I sort of looked at these things and thought about them, the first thing to keep in mind is if you work with a speaker from cake, they're going to say neek as opposed to nuke. And there's a couple other verbs where this happens. Kashuk and kashik, or kashuk and kashik. And then, what's the other one I was thinking of? Kashetsu and kashetsi for sour. But for this one, we'll look it up under nuke. So I think there's a nuke to sit. So that's qanu or wunuk, which you maybe hear that a little bit less, you know, but you could say yuqayachwanuk. I was sitting over there. And then you have nuke, which is to feel something or to touch it. And this is the one that I think we're looking at. So this one you've got for the wind to blow, which is really interesting because you've got this kind of frozen, what looks like a fourth person subject pronoun. So you say, ʼaduwóosʼ, the wind blew. And then you've got for something to taste a certain way, which, you know, it's interesting. I hear a lot when there's something, when, you know, we're dealing with the tasting one, but so you say ʼwasadduwónuk, and, you know, that's just, how does it taste? And that's just interesting, right? It's just an interesting sort of way of creating meaning. You've got here for to feel something, like to reach out and sort of touch it. You're touching it with your hands, basically. But what's interesting is the G is sort of disconnected. It's not built in as part of the verb, which is really fascinating to me. Then you've got ʼe, which is to taste or to sample something. So we see like this. Same thing. You've got a disconnected noun, not just sort of built onto there. And then you have ʼshtūdinuk, which is interesting as well because the t is not disconnected like the other ones are. And so what I mean by disconnected is it's its own noun. Like there's a lot of times I might expect to just be built on there, or j as opposed to g. But in this case, like shtu, you'll see it, you know, like shtu chashtu, teaching it inside of myself or studying. But you still have to the self. So it's like, how are you feeling? And it's usually kind of, I don't know, like this says a physical sensation, but I sure seem to hear like people say, Ohan soshtu danuk. That's how we feel as well when they're speaking at a funeral or ku'ik or something. And then you've got to be craving some kind of food. You've got to investigate something. And then there's another nuke, which is to behave a certain way. So this is when you say wasaqiyanuk, which is usually like, what are you doing? And we also have antwanuk here, but some speakers do interpret that as the same one as the sitting verb. But yeah, but we also have acting like something. So I think it's more actually attached to the behavior one. And then you have the nuke, which is, and these ones might be the same one, I don't know. It's to sit up or to get up, like when you say shidanu, or sometimes this is contracted to shinde. It's get up or get out of bed. And then you have nuke, which is to carry something. Like atchatnasnu is carry me around. If you need to teach your little kids how to say that. Don't know if that. I hope that answers your question. But when we look at it, and we could go back into this one for the different forms. So I think to feel a certain way. So yeshtuchtenuk and yeshtutudenuk. But I think of it as I don't know. I think of it as more emotional and physical myself. I don't know. What do you all think?
We were talking about what's the difference between that and masa'iati and masa'ituati. And I think I was trying to remember, I think King Sti in one of his classes said, and correct me, but masa'ituati, you would say it's more intimate, or it's you would say that to somebody you're closer to, but not to somebody you're just meeting or something. Or does that make
Yeah,
sense? Or
yeah. So like the question form, and then if we look at the statement form, like if he said "yechatyati," that's how I am, right? And usually that's someone like saying like you're being crazy, or you're like this, or you're like that, and you're like, yeah, that's how I am. So when you say like wasa'iyati, I think it's a pretty straightforward like how you be, right? And then that there's a whole wide variety of answers to that. Wasa'ituati, the Dowenhowers used to write this as like an emotional emphasis on it, which makes sense to me. There's the tu in there. But if you said like yechatuati, I would interpret that as that's how I wanted it, right? But you know, the wanting and the sort of feeling are pretty close together sometimes. Uh, but or is it achtuati? Hold on, let me look at that. I think it's ach. There's a million of them. No, it'd be yechatuati. So that one is more like to feel a certain way, but also to feel like doing something. So one of the things that King Sti would talk about is he said, when you said wasa'ituati, you needed to know the person or have a context, or they could be interpreting it as what do you want, or what do you crave, kind of what do you desire type of thing. So when you say like and if you look at the negative, you said I don't feel like doing that, right? And so it kind of depends on the context. Like if I were to say if we're all just sitting around and we got cabin fever and we've been quarantined for too long, and I say I want ach tuasaku ashkacheta dasa yuhan kwa wasaitu. So I say I want to go play basketball. What do you guys want to do? And so it could be taken in that context, but I just kind of generally don't ask people wasa ituati for how are you doing. I tend it to be more like what do you want, but I don't think it's been taught and people use it for how are you. And then wasashti danuk, I would use that one for like how are you feeling in terms of for me it's a bit of a deeper level. Like if I know that they've been having a hard time or something, I would probably use that one just to do a little check-in on them. But that's how I think of them. I think of wasayati being pretty generic, how you? And then I think of wasaituati in terms of what do you want, or how do you feel? Um, and then I would say wasashti danuk in terms of like a bit of a check-in. So how have you been? How are you feeling? Because it sure seems more emotional to me than a physical sort of a thing, even though it's noted as physical in Ḳáagu's work. And then, oh, I just thought of another one, then I forgot it. Maybe I'll think of it. Anyone else? Oh, go ahead.
Wasasiati, wasust.
Yeah, so that was like wasaseyati. So there's a little bit of a softener in there, which I heard that from speakers. And when I first started catching that, it seemed like it was speakers from Sitka I was hearing say that more often than other places. But for me, that one's sort of like, maybe tell me how you're doing. So it's just a little bit of I got a bit more sort of distance in there, politeness maybe, in terms of like, I don't want to be nosy, but tell me if you want to, how you're doing.
You hear that in Teslan too, Masasiiti.
With that S on there. And then the other one is I'd work with George and Marge, and sometimes when they translate stuff, one of them would say something, and then one would turn to the other and say, "Wasai tuuch," which is sort of like, "How do you feel about it?" So that's how they would sort of run things by each other, which was sort of like, "Do you agree?" It's almost like it, and it kind of depends on the context, but "wasai tuuch" is sort of like, "How do you feel about that?" Yeah, those are some fine lines in between those phrases for sure.
I was thinking on some, like most places I've worked, you know, it's like working environment, whether it be carving or whatever, and most people who show up just come in and they're like, "Hey, are you winning?" Or "How's it?" You know, and other than "How's it going?" like, "Are you making it through whatever you're working on?" kind of deal. But I was thinking about some of those too. Like, a lot of people don't really, you know, I don't know if you could even say that like that, but
Yeah, I'd probably say Yende ya yinetlakhake, which is like making it longer. But I guess you could say yidlak, okay? But then it's sort of like, did you get it? Right, which also makes sense. And then the yende ya yanitlak is sort of like, are you succeeding? Are you getting it? Okay. Any other questions that you guys were thinking about? Language stuff?
I got a little story,
Oh, good.
just about 4 sentences. Can I throw it up, or if I can share the screen? Oh, okay, perfect. Let me see if I can figure out what I'm doing here. Oh, okay. So, can you see that, or? Okay. Ach Jundach, Ch'áagu dach. So maybe I'll go in English first, but then, like, for me the challenge is, this is what we do with Bessie, Keishi, Shukra, Tlingit Khenach, it Tlingit Khenach. So what does it say? I'm rowing a boat a little ways offshore. There are, I can't see the thing because let me just see here. I've got people's pictures in the way. Anyways, I'm rowing a boat a little ways offshore. There are lily pads in the water and that marshy grass on the shore, then a forest further back. There are a couple of trails. Let me see if I have it written out here. Heading back into the woods. there's a current where I'm rowing, so I have to work at it. I have to find the right trail. So it was I mean, it's just a simple little thing, but there was a lot of problems, or challenges, when I go to try to put it into Tlingit. Yak achacha wehin yak da het unatle ata gweki awehin yak kasuk hin yak ka aga askutu dak awe hunsa de askutu yik kas uashu wayana deni hin yati uksa achacha Achwe itina chatyati kedeni jechani gakate wekega de. I've just been playing with it yesterday and today. So I guess one of the questions, I mean, I have a whole bunch of questions, but one of them would be, how do I say I have to do this or I must do this? So the last one I used the hortative, let me do this, or I should do this. But I don't want to keep saying itina chatyati because I think it means something a little different.
Okay. Yeah, this is great. I want to find, let's see, there's a couple of things I was thinking of. So I'm going to look at this story real quick. Let's see, where was it? Oh, yeah. So the yach, right?
Yes.
That's a really cool part of what you're doing there. So this hin yach is also it's interesting because it's along the riverbank, or if it's yach, it's along the shore of the lake, but it's also on the other side. So if you just establish that you're already in a boat, then you're following the shore in the water, right? Which is awesome. And then, yeah, for some things, like there are a couple of trails. That's a really neat part because you could say how many trails, and then like it's interesting because like when you say things like "kungausa," you're saying like what time is it, right? But if you said something like "kungausa akewuti," I would interpret that as they were there for many hours, right? Kunyakisa wayawachi keshkuchte wutakut. For many days they never came back, right? So it just changes it once it goes from a question to a statement. Like we see this pretty consistently with the question markers, like wasa iati is how are you, but I could say wasa wuke wait that thing, it was really good. And so it changes it from a question to a many type of thing. Yeah, the uashu part is good. The current, right? And so here you're trying to go against the current. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So that so I looked current up in the dictionary, and I got let me see here. Hot. But this is from Keishi. Yanadani Heen, which would be that flowing water, which she used in that Salmon Boy story.
Right.
But yeah, I would want to be going against it. But here I'm just saying there's a current where I am, or I'm trying to say that. Eh?
Right. Yeah, let me find another spot. Hinada. Yeah, that's in another story. Like, so that also works as a current. And so especially like, you know, I'm trying to remember, I heard a speaker use hot like in a sentence, but yeah, and so like, especially like we hin yich, we hin yich ya nadeinik kutziti, you could say that it existed.
Okay.
So like here we've got Yank acha we hin yachtach hil unashe. I wonder like Weihin. We go de sa aya ach tuwa sa kuchu kuchu ach gate ya kanadain. So like this river, the water flows against where I'm going. Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
would think. So the gate would work pretty well, I think, in that case.
Okay.
And then you could do Aka away. Tikday ni jikakone. And here, I guess so you've got so I have to work at it. I think it would be, I don't think you really even need the 18ach. Like if you just said the current is going against me,
Okay.
such a way. And you could say kedain, but you could say tikdain, which is what George liked to use when someone was like, kedain is usually like, and it works, but it's sort of like if you're, I'd think, boy, he's doing a good job paddling, as opposed to like he's paddling really hard. So tikdain,
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, okay.
and then I would probably say yechik kwane. That's why I'm gonna paddle hard, right? But it
Okay.
kind of depends if this is sort of a dream philosophical sort of thing. You're kind of situating yourself in the imperfective, so it seems like. But maybe I'm working really hard right now. Um, and then there's a couple ways you could do. I have to. Um, like you could say atina khatiati we yik I need to
Yeah.
find the good trail. So you just do etina khatiati and then so I've heard speakers say that for things like that. Or you could say you could tie it all together. So wehin yich awechakuch gate yanadain wehin ich den yechik kone we yak eyi deyi kakat eyit. So you could use one of those too. So it doesn't
Yeah.
really, it doesn't.
Yeah. I used Hagar because I wanted it to be the true,
Ooh.
like UK. There's lots of UKs around it, but I wanted it to be the true, like the one.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. If that, I don't know if that's the right word to use there, but
That sounds great to me. Oops, my light just.
okay. Yeah.
I was Just reminds me a bit of a funny story. I was sitting at a ku'ik and chatting with someone. We're talking about language stuff, and this person said, people say tlakudzi too much. It's always tlakudzi this, tlakudzi that. I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then somebody gave a speech, and then the same person, like immediately after, they went, tlakudzi. I just laughed so
Okay. I'll give you the screen back, Renee, but
hard. That's great. That was great. Gosh, sheesh.
sheesh.
See, how about that term, to a duck? Could
Oh.
you, the current was strong, so to a duck, you had to paddle hard?
Yeah, so like ʼaduwóosʼ is sort of like that's why, and then ʼaduwóosʼ is like somebody enabled it to be some certain way. That's how I usually think of ʼaduwóosʼ. So I would usually like say like hastu ʼaduwóosʼ yagahtu Tláa, because of what they did, we're gonna be able to succeed. So it seems to me like that one's a little bit more sort of like somebody made it possible for this thing to happen, rather than like there's this, so it's raining, so I'm gonna wear a coat, that kind of a thing.
Okay, goodness, cheesh.
Oh yeah, tlachinde naitsu yi achai ye awe de keich has ye yao sakakak achguk. That's a good one. Really, really dig your paddles down. But if we're gonna, so that's a plural though, right? So tsu is a plural. So it's like anshkatsu. Didn't we do the hokey pokey? Did we do the hokey pokey here? Or is that the intermediate class? So dakji tlitsu yijin kuchi tlitsu. So that's plural, right? So tsu is plural stick-like objects. So you could say kach yende kuk kwatsak ach achayi. I think that would be it. Tsu is the plural of sak. Yeah, that's right. Because you'd say Kate Jishlitzak for raise your hand. Okay. Anything else? Anyone else want to share anything? Got any questions?
I do. Hut. Like, that's not the right one. Like, okay. Shucks, I don't know where I put it. Okay, it might be here for today. Can you guys see it right there? I just wanted you to tell me what this means, right? I'll make it big. Can you see it? This right here.
Where does this come from?
A document that a lady asked me to look at, and it is from Lily White.
Huh.
And I just wanted to know, and I looked it up, but this is how I was spelling it. But when I looked up for payment in Story and Nash, it said Geiy. Gay, not gay, but it didn't have the S on it. I just put it there, and I wanted to ask you about it.
Huh. Okay.
You want me to show you in Nation Story?
Sure.
Okay, I would go like this. I think I'm a big smarty pants, but not really. Okay. Maybe I could see it in there. Who knows? And I would just go like, and I don't do this on my own. Somebody showed me how to do this. I think it was you. Okay, and then I just searched for like payment. And then I put on glasses so I could see the darn thing. That wasn't it. Now, if I didn't do that, I think I just kept looking down here, payment of a debt, maybe. Right there. Gay. Gay.
Oh yeah, so this I think the tl'geaq, the aq part is extracting something. So like literally saying like to extract payment, which is why that one is the debt collector, right?
Yeah.
So I guess in like I could see when we go back to what she had. I guess the one thing I'm really not sure about is that there was a L apostrophe in there. Is that right?
Yeah, and then this is how they spelled it. They didn't spell it like that. They spelled it like that.
Huh.
And so I've been asking, and Florence said, yeah, but I can't find it anywhere. And I wanted to see if you knew.
Kune,
Ah,
I see in Jeff Lear's verbs, there's similar to the one you had, they have do ich wutligeyak is claimed from him as just payment, and ash ich ashgeyak is claiming it from him as just payment, is suing for it from him.
yeah. Or I imagine if you went into some other clan's territory and you're like, we're taking this for that thing, right? So that would be like the. So I can see like this the gaze part. So the S apostrophe is like some sort of repeated pattern. So like I could see that. I'm just trying to figure out what the first part would be. Not.
When I talked with Tlaa, she said it meant payment for anything, even a kindness.
Huh.
She said you could say that even for kindness, anything, any kind of payment, any form of payment.
Wow.
And she let me say it. She let us say it like this. So I put in that. So this is how I wrote it, because I wasn't really sure. I was just wanting to ask you. And this is how I spelt it.
Yeah, I'd probably go with the first way. So
G.
it's
Yeah.
GEYS apostrophe. That would be my guess. And then yeah, I'll see if I can figure out what that first part is. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to ask you about that. And I wanted, is that okay right there? Then I'll just hold with that. All right.
Yeah.
Then this one, I had one more on this about equal. And I found something on one of the Southeast traditional values that is what I'm going to stick with. But I was wondering if you could tell me anything about this.
The first one?
Yeah.
Uh
Or we are all equal. I can't find the word equal anywhere, but
well, I would say wuchiach yedach, which would be it literally means it weighs the same. So you could say wuchiach yedach we uhan. Yeah. I'll put it in the chat too. Because
like that.
it could also mean we are balanced.
So it's yidach, yeah.
Yeah, yadash. So yadash also means important. So I can say yadashi atawe yata. This is an important thing. And then I'll say whatever the thing is. But yadash literally means, it just means heavy.
Yidach, yeah.
Uchyach yadash means just as heavy
Also,
as
this
the
is
other.
duck. Yeah, duck.
So a high tone A and then a L. And so that also means like balanced out, like wuchiach or wuchiach yadash would mean it's like you get two things on a scale. And so now we don't have to do the big payment because like it's pretty even.
Okay. I was messing around in there for a couple hours looking at your dictionary, at Carrie's, and at Nation Story. I hadn't looked in Lear yet.
I'll make a note about that payment one. Oh, go ahead.
Anyway, this is kind of like the word I was kind of learning about those two words, and like important also. Nobody is more important than. You ever notice when you work on Tlingit, you start to say English words the way they're spelled? I have a hard time with that.
Who's this Nate guy? What's he doing here?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, so oh, what is there's one let me get to the top one. That first one you had, I'd probably suggest Kech adusa kayanach kudash.
Oh, okay.
Instead of just saying changing do to ka.
Okay, you're gonna have to say it again because I was trying to get Tlech do. Okay, I can spell this one. Tlech.
Adusa
Okay, I'm trying to find the O. Tlech.
ka.
Oh, sorry. Dusa. Don't mind me. Tlech adusa.
Kayanach kudash.
Oh, dudach, kudach,
Kudash.
dach. Here I'm not hearing stuff.
Nobody is more important than anybody else.
Okay. And I can fix these. I just.
Okay.
And this should be underlined too. Kai.
Ka. Yep. So do yanach, if I heard that, I'd hear nobody's more important than that than them, whoever we were talking about.
Oh. Then one another is what they said. Then another.
Yeah, I'd recommend ka in that case. Or else
Okay.
it just sounds like we're talking about some person that we've been talking, like some specific person is what it sounds like to me.
So this no one is more important than.
Than anyone else.
That's true. Goodness, jeez. Okay, I just put all these in here to see if you do my homework for me, but since you won't, thank you. Goodness, jeez.
What was that other one? Anybody ever remember this one? I think it's Sh'adat Tundati. Anybody ever hear that? Sh'adat Tundati. I think that's how it goes. Oops. Sh'adat.
Oh.
Middle part.
It's like something about thinks something about themselves or something.
Yeah, that's the one that I think I gotta double check the verb, but that's the one Walter Kachakte gave us for weigh your words.
I don't know why this will not work. This dumb thing. I don't know where that is, so it's not there. It's not doing what I say. Do what I say, I say. It's not wanting to do what I want it to do, so. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Okay, gonna cheese.
Mm-hmm. You gotta have that SH, so ʼaduwóosʼ would be
Oh,
your
so-
own words. ʼaduwóosʼ. I think that's the right verb. Tundate.
is that right?
Yeah. Well, it's in the chat.
Oh, okay, good, good. Yeah, well, gonna cheese.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I gotta stop share. I'm writing it down. Stop making so much noise.
Anything else?
I was just reminded of something when you mentioned Ḳáawu. Did you guys all catch the 82 Angoon celebration?
I watched parts of it, but I haven't watched the whole thing yet.
I'm just gonna tell you, he's speaking one of the guys from Angoon, and Walter's sitting there, he's translating everything he's saying, into English, and then the guy says, I just want to say something in English, and he says, ʼaduwóosʼ, Tlingit keinach. And he kind of went back and he just started translating all his English into Tlingit for the whole thing. I don't know, it's worth mentioning because I was laughing the whole time.
Yeah, that's
There's a
awesome.
lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I mean, that's a gold mine. You just listen to the oratory. I was listening to the Qisan dancers, and I was like, whoa, I gotta spend some time with this. Okay. So I thought we'd do a couple things. We're gonna look at some old pictures, and we're just gonna speak only in Tlingit for a little while, and just whatever comes to your minds looking at these old pictures. Then I thought we would switch and we'll look at the front page of the online newspapers for Juneau and Whitehorse. And again, just say something about anything on there. Just old stuff, new stuff. That's the theme today. Just sort of looking at it, carrying on a conversation, and then we'll kind of slide back into future verbs towards the end. But I thought we'd spend about a half hour just talking. We'll see how long we go. We only got 40 minutes left, but yikakwati. Yadua Ch'áagu Ḳáawu. Yewa wan qanins. Hastidataya yutuchtatan nuch. Adis qanukuya. Hatlagu qunkiyan Ch'áagu Ḳáawu. Hastu atyahayo khosatin. Asa achtu asagu. Hastu khuk e khatyati qa. Hastu yukatangi kakwaach. Ya yitat khoa ya tu uhan. Ya ya haswutian tlakatya Tlingitani qa. Ya awa hatu asagu. Utusaku. Hastu yakhaya. Ya kuk kwasti. Ya kukachtusti ya yitat awa. Ya awa achtundatani yitat. Wasa yitush ya atyahai dat khoa. Ch'adasa dat yituasaku. Hetwasaka kwati. Ya hat with Ch'áagu Ḳáawu. Hasta kusti. Kadasa yisatin. Wa atyahai kak. Guk. Guk sa ye hasyati.
Chanak, wedu?
Yechwaji.
Oh,
Yechwaji. Chatsu. Kuni naksawe ku'u yakikt.
Nusk Jinkatka Nusk people in there.
Yeah, wa. Good day, sir.
Quasitina way out klein National Museum of Natural History yik.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
That again.
They 100 years or 100 years, like 100 years locked away.
Dekhand talk kanach aya akeuti. Yeah, wa yak hit ye. That's away where yak shaka. Yak shaka. That's away a cook.
Shoe Stack Point.
Yak.
Oh, Brown Hoot.
Dak sahasati. Ye G.
Hoots kluka tsu. Zoom in.
Good.
Like the
A geek again?
we geek.
Yak geek.
Hoots, yeah. So
Oh, how? Yak Tequidich hasati.
take wedi or nanya ai.
Nanya ai hastsu. Mulqanis glade hoots hasu ahain. Yakwal watusaku has the ani aya. Wait adach. Na ani. Kweyi awa hakuti ai Ch'áagu. Wanachsoyata ko washtan kwan an kweyi. Kaidihina yacho ach huna. Has the hiti akayeti. The cut hiti kak aya washtan kwan ani. Ye awa khan kawanik. Ch'áagu away Tlingit has the Ģáawu. Wegao. Hat ani aya. Keuchituk. Achawe washtan kwani has the yak Tlingit. Anda unai. Ani kaha hitki. Has our Has our Achawe yata. Ha Ģáawu. Has the Ģáawu halir ko has. Yet
ye yausika and quay away. Eat cook. Eat cook. Don't shoot the guy.
Lilha. Oh, wasa. Lilha in I unchik. Gotye. Lilha I unchik. Oh, Gwatksa. Ģáawu. Gwatchek 100 talk shuhihin. Dechanded again. Gwatksawe has to Ģáawu and unkadishiti at kho.
Gusu Wayaku.
Ya you that again?
Click.
We go. Got kitchana alk. Played hawk in a wrangle. Ch'áagu Ḳáawu you do a sock. Rangan.
Cheesh.
Mount Dewey, way to
Yeah.
little, no, like,
Wait
yeah,
again?
Mount Dewey, Point, Shoe Stack Point, Keat, Kutia, Old Wrangle Master. Maybe. I can't find my In the Shadow of the Wrangle Master, so I could compare which Kutia.
Daukasa. Keat again?
Not like, I can't remember. It's a hat.
Wait,
wait, keep Ţáagu. Wait, he a con yiktu.
Okay.
Plain, can you zoom in on the people and the kutia? Kutia. Goodness, sheesh.
Gwash yai.
Yeah, again.
Gwash yai.
Well,
I love that picture. My grandpa's in there. Is that the 1940 potlatch? Like,
Hechosaku. Just Chawasa aya we internet the kakakwashi.
please, yik today. What? Shakte.
Yakeha. Itha yata.
click one. Click one, aya.
Tuck on. Yeah,
Way, Wolf House, Atlane, house posts, way, famous carver.
Yeah, I hit. Gana stedi away.
Yeah, I hit. Siuchin, you do a saga adiata. A chakut aya. Chakut ka away. Yata when you got yata koa. What's that do a sak? Kaji used to ach you do a saga. We at Ch'áagu. Yata kuni akziti we gods. Tlachonach qanachti di yichsati.
Dukadas, Sigade Key, Cut.
Yeah,
What's Yahai, whose symbol, what's Yahai, Konga?
wait, nachsati adusa wait agati hasuahin. Yeawa khwasatin. Qanachti di de shitan. Qakoidi. Kashyach ka guantan. Ka nech adi. The cut has uahin wait agati.
Ka just ducht. Kani has duch. Ţáagu gas yadi duk duch. Kat kana auk.
Yeah,
Kakut plakwan.
Khatsukhwa ach Kachana ako atachwukuch tuk on a day. Duk da shuni awe on a kawachak. Da sawe aya kakwachak. Haste ani kak shukwa ai. Duk da shuni. Yak awe chatsuchach.
To cut that away. Penn State Museum, yek.
Wait again.
Tz'áagu ka kadadzi ka chatk ka that away.
Ridge.
Achtu asaku ate gachtu dekini. Akaya Tlingit Renach aya Yukagachtu Tlaat. Stakat at dat dasa has to GAT. Yeah, oh, Shortridge, what's that do so Tlingit Renach Hisakuga?
I thought it was Tutkan carving.
What Tlingit?
We geen taklo edi ka Ch'áagu we. Rains green taklo edi ka pelwasa du guchtzu. Deiki na Tutkan gwell.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yak away, Lidzi. Lidzi Hajike, Tia Yidat. Ch'áagu aya atlein ataya has to GA Wutien. Wasahas Wushnarchin. Uhan ko a Ishan oe Uhan. Chin, Gans, when Nakahiti. Clash Ulsini that. Well, Clash Gadane at da Hatushti ya Yidat oe ha ayi. Clay the Hinoachan Katunik. It Clash Gadane aya at ya wouldn't has to jich to tea ya Yidat. Tlingit Shah. At away ha hitki aya Ḳáawu. Ye awa Clay the Hin. Has our hoon. Ya at Kundana sawe ye hasuji and has yakquatlakan. Aka awe qodne aya wish to gate you has Ḳáawu atkin. Clack Kash duhuni at awaha at ayat clach aya haji yekakwati. Yawa hakosti. A joy has to GA that tsu has to I. Ach tu yuk Kelkut wukik aya has to I. One qanins qoa. Wish to gate aya to gach to Tláa yaha ayi dat. Kadagach Kately hechosaku anach say. What's that the name? Kadagach. Yadu ichunkian.
Is that the worm, woodworm?
Oh,
Away. Wait, sich klein too.
Eeriest story. Yeah,
Wait.
for me.
Yeich ka sawe. Shinach.
Oh, ita.
ʼaduwóosʼ mask.
Ach, Kate.
Kaya Kajit again. Kate. We Kudzatiat Ka Ganach Gas Ka Katsku ʼaduwóosʼ Kate. Yeah. Sitting on a big mask chair.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys see that one.
Sheesh, you on.
Scene. Where cock is plain. Where car, no, yeah. Plain. It's
Their tears are really deep.
wait, yeah, do
Clean what's that? A net yick, cocktail, one underneath the woodworm's face, right there.
Yak eh. Yat at ach, yisitinge. A shakt. Ye awa a dad you took the tunk. Wasa dulliechin. Wasa dulliechin. Shakt. Take just take awa a walk. Khat sha yacheti. Ye awa. Yat a koa. You ayach aya. Was you ayach. Kuk kitan we shakt. Yat ayach. Yekakisatin. Dach a walk. Yechwaji we take a walk. Gwash at katu ayi. Yesh. You ayach koa. You ayach gachtu tan. We shakt. Dach a ayi. Tlingit chusatin. Tlingit yach. A jawek. A jin aya yesatin yag. Gwash at eich koa a kiji. Ye awa ye llet di chana kawanik. We a kiji ayi we take a walk. Ye awa wan kanins. Just the cut ye gi. Kadayin ye na teach. Ch'áagu ko'a I hiti yi de yi chu. You ayach gach tu tan the cut we shakt. Yata. Has ye gach satin. Ye awa ach tu asagu tu saku. Das hat sie. Ch'áagu
Ye tua ach likudzi.
Yata kwa.
goodness, jeez, I'll find out. Oh, it's okay.
Gudach so
Shkunig. Wan kanins shidzi kajiye utian. Wekao.
That's a boarding schoon, again.
Gwashe.
Sign. There's a sign over there. Oh.
Shadahania itika.
sich gehatz.
Wekao. Stakat weka. Hashautu wahash.
That's good. Uchwak. Kuchwakiach. We.
Jewe achtu ye ti gwell dy chw all y tŵ awe iaw a gwell. Gwell Ch'áagu dy dadgu chwa i chysagw. At gatsgw. Wega atlen chw all y tŵ chwe o ka. Llalleiach o ti. Tlingit yw chael at giag. Jydled chach einach. Wega wasa ishan den has cawl y siw owe. Y chw all y tŵ. Wan qanins has dy jin cynachwe o at ach. Ia o shakshani ha ina kawnig. Kinde aya shouts a nuke owe. Kinde owe aus a nuke. De Ḳáawu teen. Chwatutsu. Cell ishke at owe. Has dy llakade ye has owe ti. Has a kawa akawe ha yu katangi has owe jaki. Cell has owe skukua at chsati at owe. Ka has dy dachankian. Kekach tu shad owe. Ha yu katangi. Nyewe ach tu ye ti. Akhe ti Yesu. Takatuhan ha yu katangi. Wan qanin zach tu asgo has dy yat aya achwell qaini. A datayat yu tuk kwatan. Da so atu nachasi awa art. Haji yes. Hakagi yes. Hasitu o dachaya hatu litzin. Ch'áagu. Atu nachaya hasyawa art.
Achtu asanik.
Guksa ye hasyati.
Dasaya.
Gicht.
Kwasiku repatriation away Tsakaidi. Shaka. Tsakaidi.
Nelte aya kakhwatagut. Hasiko has ayi. It's a gate. Yakshakatachage.
I think so.
What has to hit the yidach? Yak away on goon.
No, Deishitan.
Dasa?
Deishitan. Tsakaidi. Yakawe.
Kak edige.
Kakwe deka de shitan. Wake out, gwash chatlek each haska kwati. De shitan aiko aweta. Hasakawa akli katastu ani awe ukeye hasawsani. Wake out. Gwash 1860 iksha. Take icht wuna. Asqewu yagu yikt. Ye awe yisatina ge. Wasadu sago at kashake yak. Gwash I ani kakaya. Ch'áagu ku haswuna. Wegao. has to jite gachiti qalletsini at. Tatya naxsawe qatutletsin qaqasegu. Yewa has awas kuun. Hasituasaku wuchachitalle hakosti. Yewa hasakawa aq. We asqewu yejineit ate. We echt ayawuna yago yekta jawe dana hatuasaku kaku. Kleidushu jin katku hasituasaku weka. Huchi echt away has the anika. Kunyaki sakshwe yawa shuwa hihaya. Ushtake daya haskawsha atka. Ajawe washtan kwan. Ya navy aya has the yaklenk. Has the ani dewu kuch. Klek a koa. Navy ko a kaushahit. Tlingit daya nehle has wu kuch. Helwasa wuti aya. Chukle atwutu a kuchu. Kushtiach wasakaduo yale. We yak ati du tawasaku has to ani urkeye ausani. Du tawasaku Tlingit ausaku. Keltasa ayanach keltul an awe washtan kwan. Has to ani aya. Has awa und. Has to hiti. Urkeye has ausani. Yewechwa ach. Stakutwa kuu. Ach has lua guk. Shkashni qadzati has to ani dach. Kleinach shawat qaduyati. Has wusanech. Wasa acha kautlecheil. Asa llagaudeen aya kewjituko has to ani. Du Tláa koa. Osaka yitk. Llatin. Qushiach wasa acha kiacheitli. Klellach tuashko akade isakwok akwasa atna ninyag. Ye awe kuntak shua hichen. Kuchwit the good aya. Has the shilko has ayi. Just chaye go genki Udutze nech. Has the ani kuk. Ye awe chwa achtsu. We soldiers has the ani de wo kuch. An the yago yikt. Has the hiti yi hasua at. Has the toasagu. A kausagani aya. Ka atlein has to yik at. Has awa tau. Has to hit yidach. Keshapate has a kwak. Yeah, wa. Gun cheesh. Took aya achji wa cajin winnet to yachach to a sagu wujin. Yuchagachtisla atlet kak enachzu. Dasa ada. Well, took aya kagachta chagut ga wait ayach.
Dasa ye aya uhwe ka ground squirrel.
Oh,
Ooh.
salki.
Oh, such. Such.
Salku. Qallitsini at. Okay.
Took pictures, huh?
Are those puffins? Eagles, what on the hat?
Dalkasa.
Tlingit Ţáagu away.
Yeah,
Kai Satnach
Tega.
away. Kai away.
Teach again.
Heat.
No, on the one with the birds on it. The boy has half the Sagitki. He has a wooden hat and then the two bird crests.
Mhm.
What are those?
I think that looks great. I'm interested in that too.
Dechashayi Yale Squashy.
Gotta be the Deshitan because that's a Deshitan blanket and that it's a prow for the Deshitan too.
Well, they use a split raven too.
I say that's a beaver that's being repatriated in Angoon.
Oh, interesting.
So those are
Remember,
split ravens.
I think I said one here.
Yeah, there's a couple different clans that use a split design. I'd have to ask some of them. The Llukach Addi use one for the time when we split into Kach Addi and Llukach Addi. So sometimes it has to do with the migration and often there's different splits that can happen with the clans. Like if it's a fine one, like, oh yeah, you guys can go there, we're gonna go here, then sometimes they'll do a split crest to commemorate it. If it's kind of a hot hit the fan kind of a thing, then sometimes they won't do a special crest for it. They'll just but there's sometimes they'll have some names. Like there's some names like you tribes worthless. I don't know. There's like they were yelling insults at each other, like you're just a bunch of poor people. So they took that as a name now. So it's like sometimes there's names like everybody wants a cool sounding name, but you end up with a name that's like derives from an insult. But it's because you got to know the whole history of it, you know. But anyways, that was a lot of fun. I thought about that. I thought we'd try it. I think we'll try it again. I got a bunch more pictures. Just looking at
So
them.
was that object a hat or what did it function as?
I'm trying to remember.
It was a hat? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Like it's a prow on the boat.
It's from there's not much that was salvaged from the community, but yeah, as Yauk Shaka is sometimes what they call them. And that really means like the prow of the boat, but it can also refer to the carving that's on there.
I
Yeah.
think it's a frog, but I guess the teeth are a beaver thing.
Yeah, when you get in there and look at them and stuff. So is that one? It might be in the Juneau Museum now. I don't remember.
Think it is, and I've been asking a lot of people about that too, because like we had so many yauk and even prows, things like that, and they're just gone. They don't just disappear within 100 years. And Wayne Price always talks about how they were just destroyed and they shot them with Gatling guns. And to me, that seems like the most reasonable explanation why so many of them are gone is they just were destroyed and they kept a handful of them.
And there's museums all over the place. So everybody wanted one of those and a war helmet and a raven rat. They had their list of like prized possessions to come and get from us, and so it's really interesting. But I thought it'd be a fun exercise to do. Like it's not all like it was a mix of like some of it was kind of sad, but it was also like I don't know, like it's fun stuff to talk about. And then we'll look at headlines some other time. So but yeah, I'm glad that went well to think about that.
Can I ask? I think I understood most of what you said that Yehyadi told you about the Slucht, but you were saying like that they would, on some sides there's one eye and other sides there's two eyes, and that they would turn it when people would come to visit so that it would look at them.
Yeah, that was so like it was really interesting. This is one of my theories on the Bentwood box, and part of it was what Nathan Jackson has told me. Is one side you have a salmon trout head for the eye, a single eye, and it's more curvy, the design overall is more curvy, and it usually has wings. And then when you flip it over, it has hands, and it has a double eye, and it has harder edges. And I think that side represents the when you see it in its human form. But then beyond that, they used to have them with the single eye facing out. People would bump it, kids would kind of run into it, and the light would just fade it. It would get real faded over time. But if someone was coming to visit, you would say, turn the boxes around, and they would see all the double eye. And it's all fresh because it's been just up against the wall. And so that's why when you see them in museums, the single eye is really faded, but the double eye, it still usually has a lot of the paint still there. So yeah, I was trying to say that, but like turning around the boxes, I was getting myself tangled up because I'm like, well, it's full of stuff. I guess I should have said, you ayach gachtus in. Gachtus, yeah, that'd be it. So, because then the
I wonder
class.
if that's like the spirit of that design that they're making, you know, the conveying through like a shutk or anything. That's what they have to like. Now they're here, so turn it around so they can see you, you can see them, like, and we can all be with our ancestors here and now.
Yeah, so something I was told was like a regular eye, you know, just like a crescent or whatever, just some sort of relief marker is just like a regular thing. But wherever you put that salmon trout head, it's like the kind of the powerful part of the design. And so if it's popping into the eyes, then it's a little bit more powerful. But then when you got the split eye, it's some sort of spiritual thing. So that's why my theory is like it's a transformation whenever you see it on the other side. Because usually you got hands and the other side's got wings. So fun. Any other last questions?
Oh,
that.
Say that See Alaska's been putting up a ton of great videos on YouTube lately. And they're from Celebration that you guys talked about and stuff. And then that lecture series it was amazing. So if you have any extra time, well worth it.
Okay.
I was gonna mention that Yauk Plain, it's in the museum, but it has a design on it. So I think that design is one they put on after that picture was taken, because there's a design that goes across the whole front and back, but it has the same prow on the bow and the stern, which they have some pretty cool up close pictures you can look at on the National Museum website there.
I wasn't sure if you had explained it when you were speaking about it in Tlingit, but was this the one that was repatriated from a museum that was I think you guys said it was the prow for the one canoe that survived after the bombardment of Yangon?
Yeah, I think that's what that Yangon picture was. And so, yeah, that was really cool to talk about repatriation because then I'm sure that other people have talked about it, but I would say, well, there's my dog. She's making noise. But she's like, "Get away! It's 7 o'clock. Ready for dinner." But she said, I think, what did I say? Nechte. Their ancestors' things have come back home. So it's pretty fun to do stuff like that, like nechte, coming back towards being inside, and then kuch with the ut, like they have returned, and they're coming inside the things of their ancestors. Fun.
I remember that prow. Harold Jacobs, something about him. He was saying he walked into this museum and he walked past it like 4 times, and he looked at the label on it and it said unknown from somewhere, so it wasn't with anything. And he was like, "I know where that's from," and it came to be repatriated not too long after. So that was cool.
Okay. Yeah, and if you guys find any photos you want to talk about and stuff, send them my way and I'll add it to the thing. And then we'll do headlines too to talk about like new stuff. So just kind of fun, like talk about the old stuff, talk about the new stuff. So Gunchi Shuhan. Tomorrow, same link, 5:30. If anybody wants to join, we're having a dialogue on Kachkashat and so Black History Month and Elizabeth Parachovich Day. If you want to share any sentences about civil rights or Black history, anything like that, there'll be an open mic session for language students. But it's only if you want to.
Did you just say there's going to be an event about Kakas Art and the civil rights movement? Where and when?
Right here, same link, 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow. So if you'd like to join with a few sentences, you're welcome to. So I think I'm going to try to do my whole thing mostly in Tlingit. I've been having fun trying to figure out how to talk about anti-racism stuff in Tlingit. It's pretty fun. But yeah, so that's tomorrow. And so I think it'll be kind of an opening. There'll be, first will be a Shukachadi speaker or learner who'll just sort of kick us off. And then we're going to listen to Duktut in its entirety from Frank Johnson. And then we'll turn it over to a Yanwa Shah who's going to give us a presentation. Then I'll talk in Tlingit about some of this stuff. And then we'll have opportunities for language students to make some sort of statement, preferably in Tlingit. Feel free to translate. And we're going to try and do like a live translation of what I say in the chat. So I'll try and keep it all in Tlingit and see if students can translate it for the audience, whoever else shows up to be with us. And then we'll have a response by because we used an image from their house of Duktut, who's sort of a poster man for what we're talking about here. And then there'll be a bit of a closing dialogue, and then we'll yeah, it'll be fun. So hopefully, if you can make it, it'll be good. Okay.
Cheers.
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 Cheese.
Cheers.